everyone, it's Hermione and today's video is going to be a DIY, but it's going to be slightly different to what I normally do. Today I'm going to show you guys how to make a DIY backpack from scratch. From material to backpack in just a couple hours. I'm using a sewing machine in this, and I would recommend, if you have one, using it, but you totally can hand stitch or use really strong glue to do this as well, and you can pick whatever kind of sturdy fabric you want, but I am using vinyl upholstery fabric and it's really cheap. I want to start doing a couple more big DIYs, but they do need their own video because it kind of takes up the whole video to explain it properly. If you like this kind of idea, do let me know in the comments down below, because I want to throw something in every once in a while that's a little bit more technical. If you are new here, don't forget to click the subscribe button, which is located down below. Also, if you haven't already, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and my social media links will be down below as well, so you can go check them out if you would like. Anyway, let's go make a backpack. I used upholstery fabric for this project. It's kind of like pleather, but it's not super thick, so it's really easy and malleable to use. I planned out and cut all of my pieces. For these, I will leave an information graphic below with all of the measurements and what the pieces look like so you can make them for yourself. I took about 2 hours planning it, so you don't have to, but this is what it looks like. These are the pieces I used. I started by taking the 2 piece A's and the 1 piece B to make the main area of the backpack. Piece B is going to create what looks like a wall between the 2 A pieces, and I'm putting these down together and pinning them in place right sides together. This way, when I turn it inside out, once it's complete, it will be the right side out and there will be no stitch marks. I'm using a straight stitch on my sewing machine and running this stitch around all 3 sides continuously. Most importantly, you want to make sure you've got that 1/2 inch seam allowance, and you can measure this on the plate of your sewing machine. So for those corners where piece B bends at a 90-degree angle, you are going to want to go over them very carefully. So I created a ruffle in the fabric, kind of like a fold, as you can see here. To turn the fabric around and start stitching down the next edge without taking the needle out, I make sure it is fully immersed in the fabric with that side handle, and then I turned the fabric, and then I flipped the sewing machine foot back down, and then I started stitching again, and I did this around both corners, as you can see here. I made that sound a lot more complicated than it is, but hopefully you can see what I'm doing in the video here. Once I had gone over those 3 sides, this is what it looks like, and as you can see, it's coming together and looking more like a square shape now. So I'm going to do the same thing with the other piece A fabric, pin it in place and sew it with that same 1/2 inch seam line and go around, including doing those corners the way I did with the first piece. This is the hard part over and done with. You've created the base of the bag, so you're going to want to flip it inside out and you'll see your bag completely taking shape after this. You want to do this to just make sure there's no imperfections and it's looking perfect, but this is what it's going to look like, and then you're going to want to turn it back inside out again so we can create a fold for the drawstring to go into. So I literally folded it over about just under an inch, but you can do an inch, and I pinned it in place, and as you can see, I'm making a hem, and I did this the whole way around the bag, including making sure that those corners were laying flat. Once I was finished, I made sure to cut a hole in the front where I wanted the drawstring to go, as you can see here, and this is just going to be where it's going to come in and out. I'm using a piece of cord for this that I got in the hardware store, and you can use whatever kind of cord or string you want, as long as it's going to be strong enough for the upholstery fabric to draw it together like a drawstring. I'm taking a safety pin, and as you can see here, I'm just pushing it through that gap that we made all the way around. This makes it so much easier to pull the string through. Once you are done, it should look like this, and you're going to want to tie some knots at the end of whatever string you're using and maybe fray the ends. This way it's not going to go through that hole. So next I'm adding the flap to the top of the bag. You can actually make a flap whatever shape you like, but I made this circle shape, which is in the information graphic that I'll leave below. You could do a square if you want, that way you won't need to do raw edges, but being a circle it would be very difficult to hem the edges, so I left it raw because it doesn't fray, like I said, upholstery fabric. I pinned it in place and then attached it with a simple running stitch to the inside of the bag. Then your bag will look something like this. So let's move on next to the straps and the handles. So I'm choosing a setting on my sewing machine with this zigzag stitch, which is the letter C on my machine, and then you can adjust the width of your stitch. I'm keeping mine on 2. Then I'm going to sew the straps and the handle. So I'm starting with the handle and using the zigzag stitch. So what I did is I folded it over with the wrong sides together, so right sides forward, and I'm using the zigzag stitch to close it together. Because of the nature of this material, I wouldn't have been able to do this wrong sides together and then folded it inside out because it was too thick. So I had to stitch down the sides, and this stitch looks best and closes it off properly if you have a regular sewing machine. So this is what it looks like. I repeated the exact same thing for the straps that go down the back, and then I was ready to attach them all on. So with those straps, I'm making sure that the stitched edges face into the middle, and then I'm laying them out and making sure there's no twist in the straps, and I'm going to sew along the top and the bottom. As you can see, I've already done the top to show you, and here I am doing the bottom. So simple, just a basic running stitch. Don't forget to switch your sewing machine back to that straight stitch rather than the zigzag one. Then for the handle, you can do the same thing, but I was extra picky and wanted it to lay flush, so I took a tiny little notch out of each of the ends, and then I ran a stitch over those and then ran it over the back, as you can see here. So if that sounds complicated, this is what I did. I ran the stitch over those edges just so it would lay really flush to the backpack, and then I flipped it over and I did the same thing to close it all off to the bag, as you can see. Now onto the closure, the final piece. I'm using an old belt that I had from Primark. You can use any belt you want, or you can leave it without closure if the drawstring is enough for you. So I'm cutting this to size, and then all I'm going to do is glue this straight to the bag. And then I'm using some liquid gilding in gold to cover over the black belt because I didn't like the black next to the cream. But you can either pick a belt that's the right color already, or you can decorate it how you want. So this is the final finished result, and I'm really pleased with how this turned out. I've never made something like this by myself before, and this is really customizable to however you want to make this. You can change the colors, you can change the strap, and you can make it however you want. You can even make those straps longer on the back if you would like by adding an extra few inches. But like I said, all of the information will be listed down below for this project. That is everything for this DIY backpack video. I hope you guys liked it, and if you do make it, let me know in the comments down below that you're gonna make it. I would love to hear from you, and don't forget to like it if you did, because that makes me happy and it makes me know to make more of these, because I really like switching it up today. I had a lot of fun making this and it was really nice and relaxing. Don't forget to check out my social media links below, and with that being said, I will see you in my next video. Bye.